Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. Y'all, it's your healthy habits and lifestyle coach, Giovanni. And today we have a phenomenal episode in store with you today with wellness coach Stacey Benjamin. Y'all, if you don't know, this podcast, Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast, is all about the journey of strength of those navigating through health disparities in a way to be transparent with their journey of strength to empower you on your healing journey. But before we get too into this episode and I introduce this phenomenal guest, y'all already know what time it is. And if you don't, welcome to the show. But vibe with me, y'all. Welcome to the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. Yo, welcome to the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. Today, we have the incredible privilege of speaking with a woman whose journey and expertise are truly inspiring. So our guest today is Stacey Benjamin, a master's level certified health education specialist, a certified workplace wellness coordinator, and certified intrinsic coach with a passion for health and wellness that is nothing short of contagious. Y'all, Stacey has dedicated her career to transforming lives through holistic health practices, stress management, and plant-based nutrition. Y'all know I love some good plant-based eating. And her impressive background includes leading the cancer education and risk reduction program for the state of Georgia, serving as Associate Director of Programs for SHARE, as well as being able to be a public health association with the New York City. Y'all, she has been published in Voyage Atlanta, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and the Atlanta Business Chronicle. But what truly sets Stacey apart is her personal journey of resilience and transformation. After facing the challenges of fibroids, she embraced a raw vegan lifestyle in 2012, y'all, 2012, turning her health around and finding strength in this process. Miss Stacey, welcome to the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. How you feeling today?
I am feeling great, and thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited to have this conversation.
Man, I'm excited for you to even be here. One, because I'm also on a raw journey. So I love being able to really learn from those who've been doing this lifestyle longer than I have. But what I want you to do, Miss Stacey, is give me one word that can just describe life as a journey for you thus far. What would that one word be and why?
I guess it would actually have to be interesting. Yeah. The reason why is because, life has twists and turns for all of us. And I think with being in the field of public health and having so much experience working with people through their journeys related to their health challenges and health transformations and that wellness, to have had all of that in my life and in those that I love and to have journeyed with so many people, that's made my life really interesting.
I like it. Okay. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And I think when things are interesting, it makes you want to continue to pursue more of it.
That's
Right.
right. Interesting makes you curious. And one of the things that I love about myself is I'm really curious about health and learning and anything holistic. I embraced my journey to become a vegan over a very long period of time. And now I'm high raw, I would say. I try to eat mostly raw diet, but I am a plant-based vegan. And the reality is, bottom line, that I realize that what we eat impacts our lives. How we manage stress impacts our lives. And so I'm on that journey all the time. It's a never-ending journey for staying health and being well.
So speaking of journey, can you share a little bit about your journey with discovering that you actually had fibroids and how it impacted your life? And then did that lead you into the plant-based lifestyle? Take us a little
Absolutely.
bit on.
Yeah, so I actually was diagnosed with fibroids at a routine GYN examination. I wasn't experiencing any problems, so to speak. It was just simply, when I had that pelvic exam and the, GYN let me know about it. And initially, like many women, it was a situation where she said, we're going to watch and wait. But the interesting thing was there was no recommendation around diet, exercise, nothing. It was just, this is what they are. They're typically non-cancerous. And right now yours are really small. I feel, 2 or 3 small ones, but they tend to grow and shrink hormonally, and we'll just watch and wait. And so I wasn't really alarmed at the time. I actually, went over and talked to my mom once I was diagnosed, and she mentioned that she too had fibroids, but when she had one of my brothers, they shrunk and went away. And so, I just listened to what my mom said, of course, listened to what my physician said, and I was pretty comfortable. But actually, what wound up happening is, when I went back for my next, annual exam, they were larger. But what was happening at the time was the stress, right? So the stress, that correlation between the stress you experience and how it's manifesting in your body, right? The body keeps the score, right? We hear the book, we know that that is true. They began to grow. At the time, my younger brother, who has since passed away, was actually sick with a heart condition. He had a congenital heart defect, and he was ill. So the stress of that, worrying about his health, really impacted my health as well. You don't realize it often when you're in the space of that journey, but it was affecting my health. My fibroids were growing, and as a result, they continued to grow. And eventually, after my brother had open heart surgery and he was doing well, I felt that it was okay for me to then, go and look into the myomectomy, to have the surgery to remove the fibroids. And that was the recommendation by my gynecologist at the time. And so I did. I had a myomectomy at that time. And at that time, I actually was considering a hysterectomy, but I didn't. I didn't have it. And in hindsight, perhaps I should have, but in reality, the fibroids were fine. They were, the operation was successful. And then they showed up again when my brother got sick again, right? My father was diagnosed with cancer. And so then I had two of my immediate family members who I, loved dearly, who were having health challenges. And of course, all along the way, I'm working, and I was, always this kind of go-getter. So at this time, I am, working, I'm teaching undergraduate in, public health, health education. I'm teaching in the evenings. I'm working full time. I'm married. I have stepchildren. I'm supporting other children in my family. And so all of these things are happening at once. And when you are doing a lot and you're used to it, when you're a go-getter and you're used to doing multiple things and handling, and I've always been that person for my family, right? Just that person that's the go-to. And so all of those things are happening at once, and your health is suffering and you don't even see it because you're so focused on supporting and doing. And so, eventually what I wound up doing, unfortunately, my younger brother passed away, but we were blessed that he lived as long as he did. And he's a beautiful part of my journey in life. I'm grateful to have had such an amazing younger brother. And my dad eventually passed away too. And I wound up having a hysterectomy because the fibroids grew exponentially in a very short period of time. And of course, then I had symptoms, right? Then I had the symptoms of the heavy bleeding. And the other interesting thing about my fibroids was I've always been a small person. And a lot of women, when they get fibroids, they get the protruding, abdomen and so forth. I never had that. And so when I did have the hysterectomy, my physician said to me that they were like, just putting so much pressure on my internal organs, right? That it was really great that I had the surgery when I did. And it was, to be honest, it was a great relief. I hear a lot of stories about you shouldn't have hysterectomies, and I respect that. Every case is different. But for me, it offered tremendous relief, and I don't have any regrets about having had the hysterectomy because I was a woman who knew I never wanted to have children. I've taken care of children my entire life, and I didn't want to have children. So it didn't have that impact on me that it might have on other women.
I love that. Thank you for walking us through that journey. And I think one of the big things that I heard you talk about was stress and how the stressors of your life exacerbated your own health conditions, from the fibroids, having the myomectomy, they're gone. Then now they're back. Stress is back, high stress. And I guess my question for you is, how do you define stress first? And then after defining stress, why is it so crucial to manage it effectively?
So one of the things that I don't think a lot of us realize is that we shorten the actual term for distress. So ill stress that has negative impact on your life, right, is called distress. Positive stress that's motivating, that's, helping you to move forward, is called eustress. That's spelled EUSTRESS. But we often just nickname it stress, but we're really talking about the negative form, right? So that's the difference. So I'm talking about things that have a negative impact, that kind of stress, because we have some good stress, right? You know how you want to, let's say you're interested in learning something, right? You get a chance to take a course or a certification and you really like it, but it's causing you a lot of stress because your life is busy. That's motivating stress, right? Or planning a surprise party for somebody that you care about, right? You can be really stressed out getting it all together, but you still like wait till they walk through that door. They're going to really feel good. That's positive stress. That's motivating stress. But the stress that brings you down, right? The stress that makes you ill, that's distress. So we just typically say stress, but we mean that form. And so it's important to manage that. And this is a journey I have been on for my adult life, right? Because as I said, my life is interesting. I have had lots of family members have serious health challenges. My family has been through a lot. I have two brothers who are deceased out of five. I'm one of six. I'm the only girl. And to, lose two brothers, for my parents to lose two sons, right? That's a really difficult journey that my family has been on together. But so things like that, when people you love die young, right? My brothers were both very young when they died. That is a really difficult challenge to handle. So managing stress, and my older brother died when I was quite young. I was 12 years old. So to be able to walk through journeys like that as a family is a testament to how to manage stress, right? And so today, I think more people are showing their children and teaching them how, like steps, like, we go exercise, we talk things out, we punch a bag or punch a pillow, right? We get therapy, right? We talk to a pastor or, minister or whatever your religious faith, if there is one, right? We have some options now. But I think in the generation that I grew up in, parents were so busy trying to make ends meet and do the best they could for their children, they didn't have instructions on managing stress. But newer generations, we know that now, right? We have a lot of terminology. We have a lot of things, that we have as options that maybe my parents and their generation and those before, they didn't have that, but we have them now. So the journey that I've been on is all different types of things to manage stress. One of the things that have always been very supportive for me with managing stress is getting full body massages. There was many years of my life where I would get a full body massage like twice a month at minimum, at minimum maybe once a month. I did that for many, many years, became actually close friends with my massage therapist. We're still friends to this day. But walking, I have been a person who walks for years, and yoga, I have been doing yoga for, off and on for like 20 years or so. So those are things that I would employ. But, part of what we're here to talk about today is the importance of how diet impacts your stress as well, right? So my diet has changed. I started at the age of 18, and I had a standard American diet where I ate all types of meat and poultry and seafood. And I always, to credit my mom and my dad, my mom always made vegetables for us. Like, we were a big vegetable eating family. That was a standard part of our diet every single day. My dad, who it has island roots, was big into like fruit. So a lot of people didn't eat fruit, and it was common in my family, that we had fruit, right? And like my dad and my paternal grandmother always had pomegranates, like when I went over there. So that was normal to me. And so I grew up eating fruit. And, now we know, studies show that people who eat fruit, at least one piece a day, 1 to 2 pieces, live 3 years longer than people who do not, right? So that's something that's important for us to know and to utilize, right? So I grew up eating fruits and vegetables, and my mother was always into herbs, right? So eating, different types of herbs. Some of the things that we think of as garnish, like parsley, is so cleansing and healing to the body, right? When we want to have, some guacamole and we put cilantro in it, right? Cilantro is also extremely such an amazing herb to include in our diets. But I, at the age of 18, at the advice of my oldest brother, who had become vegetarian when he went away to college, said to me, you could stop having bad menstrual cramps. It could really be impactful if you stop eating pork. And so he was my big brother. I believed him and I said, okay. And I literally stopped eating pork. And I found some relief, but that opened me up between my mother raising us to, my mother always had something brewing under, the sink. Like she would be making, some type of concoction that if we were ill, she'd give to us, or she would make homemade sorrel and ginger beer and, all of these, it was always herbs, something brewing, for us to have. Right. And so because of that and that kind of always eating a lot of plants because of how my mom cooked, um, once my brother mentioned that to me when I was 18, when I was, like 19, I stopped eating, beef, right? And then, when I was older, I stopped eating poultry and, so I just went on a journey. It took me many, many years. And when I stopped eating poultry, I started eating it again for a while. Then then I was a pescatarian where I focused on seafood, and then eventually the more I learned, the more I removed. And to be honest, along that journey, everything that I removed made me feel better and better and better. And so I am one that in my coaching, when I'm working with clients, I'm always very clear. I want you to create the lifestyle that works best for you, right? Everybody is different. I don't preach. I learned. I was so excited about how good I felt, when I would, when I went from like eating meat to just eating poultry, and then eating just seafood, and then when I became a vegetarian. And I thought I felt the best I had in my life when I became a vegetarian. I had been that for like 7 years before I became vegan. But when I became vegan, when I let go of that dairy, which is often the hardest thing to release for the average one of us that are trying to remove it from our diets, when I did that, my energy went up the exponentially, and everything got better, right? My skin got better, all these things got better. And I just felt amazing. And so, like many people, I was telling everybody, I was, and I learned pull back. Everybody is not supposed to be vegan, right? But I know that I am, right? And even within that plant-based journey of being vegan, there are certain things that I know that make me feel better than others. Like those fake vegan meats, they're good. I'm telling you, Impossible Burgers are delicious. Beyond sausages are delicious, but I don't feel, I don't feel as good when I eat those. So I will eat them on rare occasions. Right.
I think you're right though. And I appreciate you walking us through this journey in regards to like food and how food makes you feel. I too, my journey wasn't just like yours in regards to times,
mm-hmm,
but it's more recent.
mm-hmm,
So let's say like January of 2023, embracing the plant-based lifestyle. And then
mm-hmm,
of March of this year, 2024, doing a 3-day raw challenge, just
mm-hmm,
to
mm-hmm.
explore it.
Yeah.
I really believe that when you change your lifestyle, a level of discipline comes with it, as well as commitment. But having a big enough why will resonate and allow you to truly embrace it in a totally different way that might just evolve you as a person. And so it's this, I think it's what, 119 days, maybe. I think 119 days on this raw journey, or we could
Mm-hmm,
say high raw journey,
mm-hmm,
because most of it's all raw, except for I do have like granola with like the flax seeds, chia seeds, and stuff like that.
mm-hmm,
But other than that, everything else is high raw, and I felt the energy. I felt
mm-hmm,
the way that I am able to communicate with other people. I like the way that I'm able to navigate through challenges without it just overwhelming me, and then I'm getting down and out and frustrated. I like the sense of being in control of my emotions,
mm-hmm.
shifting my thoughts when it comes to mindset,
Yeah.
not allowing stress to really creep in and stay around long. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel you on when
Yeah.
you're doing it, it gets more intentional because you feel better about what you're doing, and you just want to keep leveling up because you're now attracted to feeling good. and loving yourself throughout that journey. But taking it back to stress, and I love the breakdown of you saying when people say stress, it could be distress or eustress. And I love being able to teach my students the difference between distress and eustress when it comes to motivation, encouragement, this positive drive that you
Mm-hmm.
get when you think about eustress versus the negative, that's disappointing,
Mm-hmm.
draining. I love that you talked about a few examples of how to manage stress and that people are starting to embrace them more, like walking, like being able to punch a bag, therapy. What else did you mention? Talking to a trusted adult or friend.
Mm-hmm.
I love that as well. But even to the point where sometimes, and there was a part of me that thought about it as that young woman, that young girl who lost so many people over time in their family, brothers, father. It was, I wish, maybe someone would have introduced letter writing to you, and that's a new concept for me, to being able to write to those who may have physically passed away, but their spirit and their energy still lives on. So being able to still talk to your brother
Mm-hmm.
about what you're doing and how life is interesting, as well as all of the accomplishments you've been able to do, just because there's a mission inside of you about being so ingrained into holistic health that you don't want their spirit, their lives to be in vain. You want people to learn from that, be able to adopt healthy habits and lifestyle changes so they can flourish, so they can thrive. So I love that you took us through the stress management, or let's say distress management of it, and then you brought it into food.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, because I thought about the distress people feel when wanting to take away that dairy out of their lifestyle, because it's been
Yeah.
so ingrained and it's a hard thing to let
Mm-hmm.
go. Grieving a lifestyle you used to live, or the old life that you had, trying to embrace another one, or embracing another one. Let's not try, because if you're really motivated, you're embracing a new lifestyle because you want to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say would be some of those, I would say, like, in order for someone to embrace new lifestyle changes, to a point where it doesn't stress them out to do new things, what
Mm-hmm.
would be your tips or your strategies to help someone be successful with that?
Okay, I'm definitely going to answer that, but I want to backtrack and thank you for mentioning about the letter writing. That's something that I've actually done, with others, actually, but I do talk to my brother. I talk to my dad, right? I feel them around me. So their presence is here. They know all my accomplishments. They know they're with me. So I really do have that spiritual connection to them. So I've been blessed in that. And I've had, instances where I really felt them very strongly. So I'm really blessed in that way. But to speak to motivating, as you are making a change, and I have to be honest about my own experience. I didn't grieve my old life. What I was very clear about is addiction, right? I had an addiction to dairy is highly addictive, right? People don't
Agree.
realize that. I had an addiction to poultry for quite a while, right? Because I didn't eat beef and pork that long, right? When you think about a lifetime, I stopped eating pork when I was 18. That's not many years of life, right? And a correction, I actually stopped eating beef at 24, not 19. So that really wasn't a lot for me to give up, right? But I would offer that when you're making a transition, pay attention to how you feel. Pay attention to your body. Pay attention and notice. I also had eczema and things like that. And when I became vegan, that completely cleared up. But I suffered as a child with eczema. And so the dairy was a contributing factor for certain to my eczema. It wasn't simply some of the allergies that my allergist said that I had that, allergy testing showed up because they didn't test for dairy.
Right.
They didn't, right? They test for ragweed and pollen and things like that. And so, yeah, I had those and I could remove those, but no one mentioned the diet. They were looking for external factors. So, but when you're making a transition, pay attention to how you feel and revel in it, right? We glaze over progress so often because we're looking for some be all end all situation. But one of my tenets around coaching is celebrate every step along the way. And when you notice how good you feel, or notice how your skin is glowing, or notice how your nails are stronger, or notice that the whites of your eyes are whiter, or notice that your teeth are better, whatever you notice, pay attention, revel in it, give yourself the credit, right, for doing something. And most importantly, recognizing that you're worshiping your temple. I don't think we do enough of that. I think we abuse our bodies because it is a part of the culture. But when you recognize that something works for you, it's better, it feels good, then that's how you create your own lifestyle.
So
That's
when
how.
you say worship your temple, and what about to those people who, as you said, you're more interesting when things come to life, and the more you learned, the
Mhm,
more transitions you made in your life, but
mhm.
as well as what you were learning, it wasn't just insightful insight, because you are an educator, so you pretty much probably like learning. Like I'm an educator as
Love
well,
learning.
so I love learning and keep open.
Mhm.
Exactly. But it wasn't just the learning. Every time you took it up to another level of what you learned, you made changes in your life, and you realized the better you felt, the more the changes, the more you adopted those different habits, and the
True,
more your lifestyle changed.
true.
But you say worship your temple. How do you think people these days, or in society, or let's say in American society,
Mhm.
consider how they approach and address their temple? What could one say? Maybe I haven't been neglecting my temple. Maybe I have been truly neglecting taking care of myself. Maybe I thought taking care of myself was just getting up and showering and being able to move through life with some
Mhm.
level of functionality. What does worshiping your temple truly look like to you, Miss Stacey?
It means, number one, respecting that I have this body that it's been given to me by the creator. And because of that, I want to respect that body. I want to love that body. I want to treat the body the way it deserves to be treated. Right. And many times people are doing a lot of the extraneous work, right? We want to look good, right? We want to get our nails done. We want our hair to look nice, right? But the way to even have all of that be as in the best shape is to do it internally, right?
Mhm.
What you take in internally will show on the external self. So worshiping is respecting, being grateful for, and treating it well. My dad always taught us that when you have something that you're blessed to get, then you must treat it with respect, take good care of it, right? Whether that be something that someone gives to you as a gift, or something that you get on your own, right? You make sure that you treat it with the respect and the gratitude it deserves, and that starts with the body. I'm so grateful to have the body that I have, right? I am in a few days I'm going to be 60 years old, and I'm grateful that I get up and I move, and I don't have pain or distress or things like that. And I know that I poured into this temple to get to this place, because most people I know who are 60 are on medications. I'm on none. They are complaining about joint pain and this, that, and the other. I don't have those situations. So I'm grateful, but I recognize the part that I played in this experience.
And so in this experience, and I'm so glad that you're pain free, no joint issues, vibrant, rolling into your 60s. And just to highlight something you said earlier, you're probably getting in your 1 to 3 pieces of fruit so you can continue to
Absolutely.
extend that life. That
More
life
like more like
expectancy.
5 or more. I mean, I'm making smoothies. I'm fresh pressing juices. My daily life is getting up and
So
having
that's what I was about to ask you. Walk us through what it
welcome
looks
to.
like. Yeah,
Hmm.
walk us through what it actually looks like to balancing dish, a eustress type of life, minimizing distress, and
Hmm.
what those habits look like to make sure that you are vibrant, and that at the age of 60 and beyond, you can still be pain free and living a vibrant life.
So I start my day with some room temperature or warm lemon or lime water, right? About 16 ounces. I drink that down. And then at least 3 to 4 days a week, I'm going to have a fresh pressed juice of vegetables primarily. Sometimes I will do a mono fruit. Like this today, I had just pure pineapple juice. I buy whole pineapples. It's cheaper that way. Cut it up, do that. But oftentimes it's a green juice, right? I will put things like parsley, again, cleansing, right? Cilantro, lemon, celery. I'll put dandelion root in it. And yeah, I might put a green apple or something to take a little bit of that bitterness out. And I'll have that kind of juice. And again, I will do that. And then I also make smoothies. So I typically have a juice, a fresh pressed vegetable juice, maybe occasional fruit juice, and I have a smoothie, and it is primarily made of greens. I grow my own, and I live in an apartment. I have a vertical garden on my patio. I have click and grow inside my apartment, growing herbs and tomatoes and watercress and all those things inside my apartment. So people who say, "Oh, I don't have the space," I am a minimalist, but I keep the things that are going to keep me healthy at my beck and call, right, available to me. I also order from an organic farm. The person who runs the farm and I have become friends. So every Thursday I get organic vegetables delivered to my building, and I go and pick them up downstairs. So I'm eating an organic, high raw, plant-based diet. So I start off with the smoothie, after the fresh, with the water, I have the smoothie or the fresh pressed juice. Sometimes I have both. Like today, I had a pineapple juice that I fresh pressed, and I vacuum seal it so that I don't have to make them every day. And then I had a smoothie, right? And my smoothie had basil. I made it basil as the main ingredient. I had basil, and I had some cucumber in it. I had I always put flaxseed and hemp seed and a little chia seed in it. I had beetroot in it, actual beets, fresh, cut up, put that in there. And I actually use Compliment brand protein powder because it has nothing in it. For quite a while I was using Sun Warrior, which I like, but what this is pure. So Compliment brand is what I'm using right now. Put just one scoop of that in there. And I put a banana in it, and I put a fresh zucchini in it, whisked it up, and put a couple of dates, and it was delicious. And I had that. And then, on most days, I'm big on beans. That's why I'm not fully raw. So, like right now, I have a wild rice blend that I have already prepared. It takes 45 minutes to cook it, but on low. But it's a nice organic wild rice blend that I season up, with lots of spices and herbs. I have an herb blend I put in there. I put some, tomato paste and lots of spices. And then I have beans, right, that I've cooked, right? Put a little kombu, which is sea vegetable, in it so that it doesn't cause the gassiness, right? Cook it with that. And a big salad, a rainbow salad, which has I have purple cabbage in the salad, carrots, cucumber, red onion, a little bit of shallot too. I have jalapeno in the salad, and I made a delicious orange vinaigrette dressing. So that's what I'm going to have for dinner. That's kind of typical for me. But in that day, I'm also going for at least an hour walk. If I can't do it all at once in the morning, I will do a half an hour in the morning. I do another half hour either at lunch or after. And sometimes I'm walking an hour and a half to two. I will do 15 minutes of yoga here and there. And, I've been a yoga enthusiast for, as I said, over 20 years. There are times when I stop, but I always come back to it. And stress management also means having people to talk to. I have an amazing group of sister friends. I have no biological sisters, but these women are sisters to me. And they are people that I call upon at any moment, and we have regular conversations and check-ins with each other, and we support one another. That's huge. And I have a very supportive, I have a great family. I have an amazing partner, and he is supportive to me as well. So I have people that I can talk to as well.
I absolutely love it. And I appreciate you for taking us through that journey. So starting out with a lemon or a lime glass of water, then getting you in some fresh pressed juice, whether it's a mono fruit, but really
Mhm.
heavy on the green juice,
Yeah.
and or a smoothie, and you're heavy on the green smoothies too. I didn't quite catch what your liquid base is. If you use a
Well,
liquid
believe
base,
it or not, most of the time I just put water in it. I'm not much of a person
okay.
that puts
So I was wondering if
milk
that
in
was
it.
because
And
you said
sometimes I put
coconut.
coconut water. Sometimes I put
Okay.
coconut water, but
I
most of the time
definitely
it's just
love coconut water in my
hmm
smoothies. I'm not
yeah.
necessarily, I have to have some type of plant-based milk, or
Yeah.
even a milk that I've made at home. So I
hmm
definitely am with you on like the coconut water because I've done that
hmm
before as
Yeah.
well. But just listening to your smoothies, I've juiced beets, but
hmm
I've never put beets into my actual smoothie. So
Oh yeah.
you're right.
If you have a
Right.
high powered blender, you can do it.
I believe it. I definitely do believe it. That sounds. I probably would try that a little bit more than the dragon fruit because I just feel like the dragon fruit, you just might as well stay home. Like I'm nervous about when it's gonna hit you to get you nicely cleaned out because it's so fiber rich.
hmm
But I love the aspect that you talked about when you do get in your cooked foods, what you're choosing, and that wild rice and beans, high in protein, high in fiber,
hmm
herbs. I love the sound of that sea vegetable to help with the
hmm
gas.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, it's just it's good to hear that you're not allowing challenges to stop you from living the life that you know you deserve, worshiping your temple, in your words. And I think that was evident when you said, and I grow my own things in my apartment building,
That's right.
as well as built a relationship with an organic farmer to get other things that I don't already grow to
Yeah.
my house so I know where it's coming from and who had
Yeah.
a role in how it was harvested. So
hmm
I enjoyed that too. But then talking about your activity, like I love that you're one mindful about your eating. You're mindful about how to manage that distress. And so we're going to get into that in a minute. But then the fact that you talked about moving, because we talked earlier about walking being a way to reduce or release stress. So walking and
hmm
breaking up that time with walking. And I tell people that a lot too. Like, get in, try to get in 4 miles, and you
hmm
got to get in your 4 miles all in one time. You can
That's
make sure you get in 4 to 5 miles, even just calculating your steps, taking short breaks to just
yeah.
get moving. And when you do that, the endorphins are going to flow. Your hormones are going to appreciate it, but you
hmm
start feeling lighter about how you're navigating through the day because you're moving along with your day, being intentional with that movement. But then that practice of yoga, and yoga has been something that I have found to be very relaxing on the days I don't go walk. Me and Spencer don't go walk. I
hmm
love that I'm able to feel in my body where my body is good with mobility and where it's a little like, okay, you could use some more stretching in this area. There's a little tension, there's a little resistance, or this position feels a little uncomfortable. It allows me to be more with mind body awareness. As I just would love to get more into it and really make it a practice. So, someone who might be considering yoga or Pilates, what is the best way for them to start embracing that as a form of movement that you found to have been very beneficial? And what have you gained out of the 20 years of doing yoga?
So I would suggest here's the great thing about what we have available to us today, right? We all have YouTube, right? There's some amazing yoga instructors on YouTube, believe it or not. And
I believe it. I
yeah,
follow
we
some.
are
That's how I
because
do mine is.
I've been, mostly doing yoga in person. It wasn't until the pandemic when my yoga class ended, right, that I started using, some of the people on YouTube. I would offer that the great thing about yoga is a lot of YouTube instructors on that have yoga programs on YouTube, they are offering like 15 minutes, right? That's a great starting point. That's the way to do it. And they have things where you can, if you want to do it at night, a lot of people think you need to do something at a certain time. No, you can do it at any time when you have a few minutes. Start with 15 minutes, see if you like it, right? Give your body grace. Always give yourself grace when you're starting something new. That's a basic coaching tenet of mine too. Just give yourself grace, treat yourself kindly, be patient, right? I always tell people this is not a world where we get instant gratification all the time. Sometimes it's worth it to pour into yourself and take your time with something. Try 15 minutes of yoga. They have evening yoga that you can do, sunrise or wake up, yoga. Start with 15 minutes and just notice that if you try to do it repeatedly, like maybe 2 or 3 times a week, notice how your flexibility will change. That's one of the benefits that I found. Having done yoga for so much of my life, my flexibility it impresses me. One of the I learned many years ago that one of the signs of how long someone will live is how they can get up off of the floor without, using their hands to brace the floor to push them up. And when you get to doing yoga long enough, and it doesn't take that long for a lot of people to start to notice the flexibility. You can, like when I would take yoga classes, sometimes, as I said, it may be times when I didn't do yoga for a couple of months or, even a year, I think. And, it's just like riding a bike for me. After a couple of classes, I start to notice it. Usually there's mirrors in classes and you can see yourself. You can feel, I couldn't get deep into this position before, but I'm getting deeper, right? So you notice it. That flexibility is important for the strength of our bones, right? We think about flexibility for sometimes muscle strength, right? Because that's the other thing about yoga. It's a weight bearing exercise. So is Pilates, but you're using your body as a weight instead of physical weights. So it's another way to get in that weight bearing exercise too. But just, I'd say start with 15 minutes. Find somebody on YouTube. There's many of them, or other videos, doesn't have to be YouTube, other platforms. And just try a few minutes and see how you like it, and then give yourself some time to keep giving your body opportunity to move and stretch.
I thank you for that breakdown and that motivation. I too enjoy finding the videos and the yoga workouts that work with the time that I have. So like if I didn't feel like I got my 7 hours of sleep, I would sleep in longer than I know me and Spencer can go out and get our walk and come back home in enough time for me to get ready for work. So it's
Mhm.
like, okay, let me do a 10-minute yoga stretch or morning rise or flow. Or like
Mhm.
if I'm feeling a lot of tension, let me do a 15 minute, slow tension release yoga practice. And
Mhm.
I like that you said that, like, make it work for you.
That's right.
The best way to start something different is to make it work for you so you
Mhm.
actually show up and do it so you can then see the benefits.
That's
And
right.
I love that you use the analogy of knowing how much longer you're going to live, so to speak, by how you get up off the floor with little support or resistance. And I was, when you said it, I was trying to think back, like, well, how do I get off the floor? Like, where am I with this thing called life? And I thought it was a good visualization to
Mhm.
consider, let alone bring an awareness of how do you really see and feel yourself, and how you're moving through life. And I love that you use that analogy, but most importantly, I love when you said get that grace, being able to really give yourself the grace to
Mhm.
adopting the new habits and lifestyles of what you have. So thank you for walking through that yoga practice and embracing it now that you're 20 years into it. So how
Mhm.
do you motivate and support your clients who feel overwhelmed and stuck in a cycle of stress?
Hmm. One of the things that I have to often say to people is to breathe, right? The breath is where the anxiety is. So, one of the things that I start off with is let's do some breathing together, right? Because when we are in that anxiety, overwhelmed feeling, what are we doing? We are typically in that shallow breath pattern. We're breathing from the chest and not from the abdomen. We are not doing that diaphragmatic, deep blood circulating breathing. And so I often recommend that people do that. Let's do some breathing, right? And I always talk about one step at a time. What's one simple thing we can do today, right? Even if it's just, I'm going to do some deep breathing the next time I feel this way. Or I will say, what's one good thing that you can, focus on that you've experienced in this last month? One good thing. And it doesn't have to be anything huge. It could be, I was walking and I saw a beautiful butterfly, or a hummingbird came, or I woke up one day and the sun, it was just something about the sun. Simple. Or it could be, my child smiled at me or did something, or whatever it is. It's your thing. Focus on something positive, and recognize that you have the ability to make changes. We all do. There's something simple that we could do that, sometimes it's just the slightest thing. The same way that there's this one straw that breaks the camel's back, sometimes you just take one thing off and you feel just a bit of ease, right? So look for the ease. And if I'm coaching you, I'm going to help you to find that ease, because sometimes we can't even see it in our own lives until we talk it out, right? And have that professional who is there to support you and give you a safe space. So that's what I always start with. Let's start with the breath, and then let's think about one simple thing to be, that's been a grateful experience, and one simple thing you could do that might change things, just even if it's ever so slightly, that gives you that ease. And then we can continue to build on that to help reduce that stress.
I absolutely love that walkthrough. Breathe, because you're doing it. Because if you're still here, you still are able to breathe to a certain degree. But that diaphragmatic breath work,
Yeah.
truly seeing on that inhale, your stomach just expanding.
Yes.
And I think people underestimate the power of deep
Breath.
breathing, even with the breath, deep
Mm-hmm.
breathing, intentional breath work,
Mm-hmm.
however you want to coin the phrase. But even when it comes to pain, Miss Stacey, like just in regards to like chronic pain, debilitating pain, pain in that left side for my adenomyosis,
Mm-hmm.
pain that just comes about, that deep breathing, that breath work, it really has a way of helping reduce. It calms the central nervous system that's triggering your brain to say, I'm in pain, I'm in pain, I'm in pain. But it's
Mm-hmm.
getting circulation and blood flow to all the other areas of the body, and it's showing
Mm-hmm.
where you're tense.
That's
And
it.
I do like have this daily post of like doing a body scan. And I'm like, let the belly
Mm-hmm.
hang, let the
Mm-hmm.
belly hang, let the belly hang, let
Mm-hmm.
the belly hang. And it's
And
just
make
like,
it fun.
yeah, like reduce it. Because once, as
Mm-hmm.
soon as someone says, hey, where's the tension in your body? Do a deep breath and release, and you're going to find and notice it. It could be in your shoulders, your cheeks, your butt cheeks, your stomach, your
Mm-hmm.
arms. Like it could be anywhere in your body that you don't even know, in your jaw,
Yeah,
clenching your
big time
jaw.
in the jaw. A lot of people are teeth grinders, and dentists are saying after during and after the pandemic, we're still seeing that, right? People are still experiencing some of that. So yeah, that's a great place to point out, right? Because
Yeah.
some of it is obvious, right? We're on computers, so we get that neck and shoulder and lower back kind of thing, right, from sitting. That's why we need to stand, move, take breaks. But absolutely, we have to remember the jaw, right?
When
Yeah.
you just said your neck, your back, I just was like, oh, melting in my seat. Because when you say it, you just like, oh,
Yeah.
let me be aware of it. And we're so in go, go, go and focused on other things. We're not noticing where in our body we are tight. We are holding tension. But then you say, look for the ease.
Yes.
That was beautiful. Look for the ease. And like you said, a lot of times we have these blinders on with all of these obstacles, challenges, stressors, that we don't realize there is a ease. There is a moment to just pause, or where we don't have to jump out of the bed as soon as we wake up because there's
Yes.
something to do. Just to take that moment to
Mm-hmm.
look for the ease.
That's right.
I like it. I absolutely love the look for the ease. But
Mm-hmm.
identifying, when you say identifying things that have been a great experience, to me, it took me back to navigating through an achievement inventory journal, when I actually was notating and documenting accomplishments, things that I've achieved,
Mm-hmm.
obstacles that I overcame. So on the inside, my inner voice is still I win, continues to strengthen. So now we're lessening doubt. We're lessening, insecurities. We're lessening fear.
Mm-hmm.
We're lessening uncertainty, because like you said, life is interesting, but the more you keep moving through it with intention, the more you're going to find ways that you're going to be an overcomer,
Mm-hmm.
because you were already destined to be each day you get to see. And
Yeah.
so I'm grateful that you have that process that you walk your clients through,
Mm-hmm.
to keep them motivated and supported when they start to feel stuck within that cycle. But
Yeah.
what has been the most rewarding aspect of your journey, as a wellness coach, that has been able to really help people understand the importance of distress management. You see what I learned there already with distress management.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What have you found the most rewarding?
I think that my passion is to support people to make, behavior changes and lifestyle changes to enhance their health. And to see that over and over and over again is a blessing. I ask the creator to use me in ways that are going to support my fellow man. And every time that someone says to me, thank you so much, I turn it around and I'm like, no, thank you. And I always let people know you did the work, right? I'm just here as a support, but you did the work. We all support someone. Everybody has something. My dad always said this: everyone has something to bring to the table, right? The beauty is that there are people that have helped me in my life and that will help me in my life. And so I am blessed that my profession, my passion allows me to help other people every single day, both in my professional and personal life, right? That's just who I am. If I learn something, I'm going to teach it. I'm going to share it. I don't hold on to things like that, because we are here to support each other. We're here to love each other. And loving people is making sure that they are healthy when they are asking and wanting support. So that's a part of what makes me feel accomplished. It's not the articles of the journals or the things that I've been a part of. It is knowing that every day when I lay my head on my pillow to go to sleep at night, that I have given, right, freely, open-heartedly, to support mankind. And that's just a blessing. That's just a blessing.
I love that for you. I think for me, it's been being more vocal, visible, and transparent with my journey, my healing journey. I think that has been the most beneficial for me thus far, is because I don't think I've heard a lot of people talking about endometriosis, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, adenomyosis, fibroids. I heard of fibroids before my diagnosis, but the other three, I had heard nothing about it ever. And being like you, someone who has a certified health education specialist, a certification in health education, did health promotion is what my college called it. Now they call it public health, and you're in that same space. I didn't hear anybody talking about endometriosis. I didn't hear anybody talking about polycystic ovarian syndrome. So when you're in a health space and you're not hearing about these health conditions that tend to impact the African American Black community at a larger rate, it's like, why aren't we doing enough to talk about it and raise awareness? Now, the more that I'm doing it, I'm starting to attract more organizations and other people who are also, speaking out and putting their journeys out on into a space that's more so transparent and out there. But it's inspiring people, even with the foods that I'm eating. One, it was the juicing, and then you see so many people getting into juicing now. And then it's plant-based nutrition. We're seeing more people be more open to the thought of eating more plant-based meals. Not necessarily that they're taking all the other things out just quite yet, but the fact that they're opening up their mind to embracing a meal that's plant-based, and they don't have their typical chicken or meat or something of that nature. But then to have people on the raw journey and seeing them be like, oh my goodness, was it good? Let me try it. And they're trying it and they're liking it. Feel like my journey in the open is allowing other people to say, you know what? I should too worship my temple. I should too potentially experience what it might feel like to be intentional with how I care about worshiping my temple, how I show up and love myself and care for myself, even if it's in the decision of whether I'm going for a walk, whether I go for do a few stretches, whether I just do some deep breathing exercises, whether it's I choose to eat some fruit or two or three, because now I learned that it adds to my life instead of takes away. And I be a little bit more intentional on the herbs and stuff that I put in my food, like the parsley and the cilantro, and the celery, just the different things. And when you talked about that, it made me think about the meal I had yesterday. I had a falafel burger made out of pumpkin seeds, and Miss T over at Recipe Cliff, and she was like, and I met this man and I got some fresh parsley and cilantro and celery leaves, and I put all of that inside of your raw, your falafel burger. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I'm realizing because I usually like I like dressing with my salad versus
Mm-hmm.
salad with a little bit of dressing. And so
Mm-hmm.
she just
Yeah.
gives me a little drizzle of like the white sauce, which I think is like a hemp seed type sauce. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm having to embrace, which is not a bad thing, the true flavors of what it tastes like to have spinach and
Mm-hmm.
chard and the salad mix without a whole bunch of the other stuff I'm used to piling on, calling it dressing to my salad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just been an amazing experience and journey thus far that it just feels so good to just show up every single day making those kind of decisions for myself, knowing it makes my body feel good. But in
Yeah.
addition to that, my healing journey is also saying, hey, those of you with endometriosis, polycystic ovary syndrome, fibroids, adenomyosis, you have the opportunity to feel just a little bit better too. You can reverse some of those symptoms that you are used to experiencing every single day because of what you think, believe, and feel about yourself. That mindset, how you show up for yourself every day, how you love yourself, care for yourself, reduce that distress in your life, and build skills to overcome. But then it's also in your eating, the foods you embrace that are able to be functionally well for your body and address those symptoms that you typically experience, as well as moving.
That's
Move your body so the things in your body can move efficiently for you, because there's so much healing into it. But I'm just grateful that you were able to kind of talk about that rewarding aspect of your journey and allow me to share a little bit of what I found rewarding as well onto this level. But how do you maintain your own stress levels, distress levels, and how do you ensure that those around you are aware of that so they don't bring that into your life as you are being intentional with your journey?
Yeah, I think that a big part of my journey was to learn to boundary set.
Hmm.
And it was learning to pull back, right? Because I am a doer, right? I'm a nurturer, I'm a doer. As I said, I've been the go to person for lots of people, and I had to be the go to person for me. That was one of the biggest changes that I made, um, to really reduce my stress. And it's really taking time to rest. I think a lot of times we just feel like we're energizer bunnies and we're not human, right? And I had to recognize I'm human. It may be that I can get a lot done, and that's a lot about my personality, but I have to look at my health, right? And so it's really just taking stock of what my life is like. What can I take out to create more ease? I take my own advice, right? And also, as I said, having trusted people who have earned the right to hear my story, right? In my life, to have these amazing sister friends, to have, support, to be able to share, that really makes a difference. And of course, the diet. There's been studies because I'm, like you, I said, we love to learn. We both love to read, and I'm looking for reputable resources. So when I'm sharing and educating those that I'm, my clients, I'm giving evidence-based information. And so there's evidence, literally, there have been studies that show that when you eat foods that are the color of the sun when you're depressed, it can lift your depression, right? So, have those beautiful cantaloupes, right? When they're in season. I always eat in season too, right? Higher nutrition, right? You're going to get more abundance of it. Eat in season, right? Eat those things, those yellow bell peppers, right? Instead of the green, right? Get the yellow and the red, have the tomatoes, have the oranges, right? Have those beautiful things that are going to be uplifting to you. So I will do that as well. If I notice, things, if I'm going through a lot, I will eat things that are the color of the sun. I will make sure that I get out and be in the sun, right? Nature is huge in my life. Like, part of why I walk is because I have a beautiful trail near my home, and I walk that trail and I walk through the trees and I experience them. I'm not just walking through the trees and they're not, in my, you know, visual field and I'm not paying attention. No, I'm paying attention. My partner gets on me all the time because I like to touch trees, bushes all the time, and he'll say, "You don't know if that's poisonous or something," but I will touch it, right? I will commune with it, and nature makes me feel good. So I made sure that when I chose the apartment that I have, that in every window I look out at beautiful trees. So no matter when, I'm always amongst it. So communing with nature, um, walking, getting my body moving, eating healthy things that I know. I also am big into essential oils, so I'm diffusing as we speak frankincense, right? You know,
Mm.
there are specific essential oils that are really helpful to, you know, boosting your mood, right? You can take things like ashwagandha, some of the mushrooms, right? Reishi and all these things. There are also lots of holistic things that can help boost your mood too. And I
So
enjoy them all.
I greatly appreciate you walking us through what it looks like for you. And I love that you say you practice what you preach. So if it's things that you tell your clients, your wellness clients,
Mhm.
you do the same thing. You're looking for the ease in your own life. You're finding and believing and trusting into a safe space of support when it comes to your support system. But then I like that you said eat in season. And when you're not feeling yourself, you're eating foods or fruits
Mhm.
that are the color of the sun. You're trying to get that connection back because you're feeling disconnected. I love that one, Miss Stacy. But then it was the act of really just communing with nature. And I know some people say just go outside with no shoes on and get grounded,
That's
but
right.
the fact that you can take even a moment to just gaze out of the window,
Mhm.
because you don't know how much time people have to get out there and commune with nature. You don't even know if it's nature around them that's safe for them to go out and commune. But even just being able to gaze out and take that moment to just look outside and reflect. It's like a moment of meditation within itself. But you talked about the practice of also using essential oils to help.
Mhm.
Can you just go over maybe the top few essential oils that you enjoy and what
Mhm.
that process looks like for you to making sure you're doing that in the most safe, healthy way?
Yeah, anyone who comes to my home will tell you it's usually diffusing. I'm in a one bedroom apartment and I have three diffusers. I have one in my kitchen, one in my living room, and one in my bedroom. And there typically is always one or sometimes all three going at the same time. So one of the top ones for relaxation are, of course, lavender, right? Easy to get. Frankincense costs a little bit more, but it's a wonderful medicinal oil to use, right? And I always say to get some that might speak to you. So if you're lucky enough to go and, you know, I always get 100%, you know, pure essential oils, right? And, you know, you can smell them and sometimes they speak to you. Get one that speaks to you. I probably have at any given time around 38 different essential oils. And I have some that I use. I have one that's called Breathe Air. And it's just, you know, it just lifts you up. Your lungs feel like they're expanding when you breathe it in. But I also love spearmint, right? Peppermint is more common, but I love spearmint. I love the smell of it. And I love the citruses. When I'm cleaning, I'm going to put in, you know, a sweet orange oil, right? But lots of them. I have lots of them. But essential oils really do have medicinal properties and they do really help us. They really can boost your mood. There are some that are specific for mood, like there are some that are literally called things like energy, right? And the other thing that I think that helps with relaxing and stress reduction is, and you might find this too, Giovanni, because when you start the journey, when you start to change your diet and so forth, many of us start to change lots of things. So I make all the products that I use on my skin, right? And one of the things that I make is I actually make a pillow spray, and I put frankincense, lavender, and there's something called stress. It's a stress release. That's the name of it. And I put just a couple of drops of each in water, and I spray every day when I make up my bed in the morning. I spray my pillow. I spray the entire bed, right? And then I make it up, right? So that's going to be in my sheets, right? Until, you know, every week when I'm washing my sheets and I put a fresh, you know, set on, I'm spraying it when I make it up, right? So it's going on there every day. And that's something that I'm inhaling, you know, that's in my sheets, right? I'll spray it around my room, right? So there are lots of different ways and avenues that you can use essential oils to support your health and well-being. And they've been a part of my life for at least 15, 20 years as well.
I love it. And I thank you for that. I definitely took some notes down. And I believe those who actually listen and hear you out when they get to this aspect will definitely be taking those into consideration. So what's the one piece of advice you wish everyone knew about managing stress and maintaining a healthy mindset?
That food impacts it all. I think we are taught all these things, but not what we're taking in. One of the things that is a easy barometer to think about is like live foods have energy, right? There have been numerous studies that show that they literally have energy, and dead food doesn't have that energy, right? It just doesn't. So think about the food you take into your body when you think about stress. Most people do not. They do not think that, I always, I use examples often when I'm, coaching someone, and I'll say, if, person A and person B have these two different diets, if one of them gets up and has, like cereal coated in sugar, and then they have Lunchables, right, that they take and have at lunch. And then they go and stop at a fast food restaurant and have a burger and fries. And then that's person A. Then person B gets up in the morning and they have a smoothie, right? And in their smoothie, they have fresh greens and some fresh fruit, right? And then for lunch, they have a salad, and they put a lot of ingredients in their salad, not a boring salad, not the lettuce and tomato and, some croutons and cheese. No, they have a salad where it has real vegetables in it, right? They have some cucumbers in it. They have some, romaine lettuce. They have some red cabbage and some carrots, and maybe they put some beans in it, right? And maybe they make a delicious homemade dressing like the one I made with, fresh oranges and zest, right? Some tahini, right? Some spices, and then they pour that over it. And if you are a meat eater, you put, some meat or some seafood, but mostly the salad, mostly the greens and the vegetables, right? If they eat that versus, person B versus person A, who do you think is going to feel better?
I love that. That was the now that's the way to paint a picture, Miss Stacey. That is definitely a way to paint the picture and figuring out who actually shows up and lives a certain type of life just based on how they eat. And if you're intentional on how you eat, you're definitely going to be intentional on the boundaries you set and who you let in that space and what you allow to continue to fester and be around in regards to toxicity. Because when you're eating pure, you don't allow but so much toxic to be around because your body feeds off of that energy because you're feeding it so good. And so I can definitely see that. So last two questions. So give some tips or some insight for the male role models, the girl dads, the father figures, for those young women going through painful periods that we know is not normal, or they're older now and they're having the painful periods and now they're your partner or your spouse. What are some insights for those males that could benefit from being a part of a supportive situation versus just having hands off and not really being in it because they don't know about it or experience it themselves?
I think one of the things that makes me happy about who I am as a person in general is that I often just sit for a moment and try to put myself in someone else's shoes, right? We often don't do that. We take a lot for granted in our own lives. So, we take for granted a lot in other people's lives, right? So sometimes it's just to simply sit and think, I wonder what it's like, and then be more curious and ask that person. If this is your partner, that means you're invested in some way in that person. And if you're invested in someone, that means you care enough to ask, what is it like to feel this? And how can I help? Right? Because for some women, you can just sit and rub my belly if I'm having cramps, and that makes me feel better because that's supportive. For another person, it might be, please make me some tea, right? Make me some herbal tea. For another one, it could be, let's just lay here together and just be, right? Whatever it is, what is it like to feel what you feel, and how can I help?
I love that. And the episode before this drops, Robin talks about how her husband does this whole transition to getting her products, getting her food, getting her a certain type of drink. He's learned the routine. And so when you ask, you're aware of how you can truly be a part of it and be supportive. So I love the ask but
Mm-hmm.
more importantly, not just how you're feeling, what you're experiencing, but what can I do to be of support. So thank you for that, Miss Stacey. And so the last question, Miss Stacey, if you could have a meal with any historical figure, who would it be and what would y'all eat?
Any historical figure? I would probably want to have a meal. Of course, it would be plant-based, but believe it or not, one of the most interesting people to me is Malcolm X.
Mm.
And it's because he embraced Islam, right, under Elijah Muhammad. And then when he went to Mecca and he made that pilgrimage and he saw people of all colors together worshiping, he came back and he said, I was wrong. I want to embrace everyone, right? So I would love to talk to Malcolm X and I would love to have a delicious plant-based meal with him. It's because I don't know that he ever experienced that, right, in his lifetime. And, there's something that was very uplifting and unifying about that man, and I would love to see him enjoy a plant-based meal, and to be able to talk to him about what it was like to be in his shoes.
I love that. Thank you, Miss Stacey. Thank you for being an absolute amazing guest on the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. You want to let everybody know where they can find you, or we'll just put the information in the description of the video.
Yeah, if anybody wants to reach out for wellness coaching, they can reach me at wellness, WELLNESS, for life at Gmail. WLNESS. Let me correct that. WLNESS, the number 4, LIFE at Gmail, if they want to get coaching. And I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for being a voice for, PCOS, for all of the different, experiences that women have that are not shared. So thank you for opening this up. Having this podcast is a really amazing space for people to come to be safe and to learn. So thank you for that, because we do need that. We do need that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it. Thank you for that. And I enjoy that. And I'm glad I have been able to create this space and people like you are willing to be trusted to come on and share your expertise and let us know that it's okay to be seen, but most importantly, get well. Y'all, in the description of this video is a M to the third degree empowerment guide, healing empowerment guide. Newbie, absolutely got a lot of different mindset activities, mindful eating recipes, as well as movement and some herbal teas to help you on your way through life. And it's broken down during the different phases of the cycle. So go ahead, click the link in the description of this video, download your M to the third degree healing empowerment guide. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with somebody that you love. But if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, like, and comment your takeaway in the comments of this video. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast distribution platform, make sure you give it a rating. Make sure you follow on the podcast. But importantly, we love you. We thank you. We appreciate you for vibing with us. And if you're looking for a healthy habits and lifestyle coach, that description is in the video. That link is in the description of this video as well. So you can tap in and see if you're really ready to start embracing the changes. Y'all be easy. Thanks for vibing with us.
Thank you.